Coco Mama. Hi Coco, you're on live. You guys, this is the first time I ever do Instagram live. Can you believe that? I know. I'm on TV, but I still get nervous when I do this stuff. Oh, hi guys. Hi. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for your comments. You guys are so sweet. All right, so I think I can start, right? I didn't wait the 3 minutes, but let's get started. Let me see here. Okay, so here we go. So like I said, thank you guys for joining me, and a special thank you to the Florida Scholastic Press Association for inviting me on here. I will be addressing the journalism students in our state, and I'll be talking about 3 different things. Number 1, my experience during this time covering a pandemic. 2, the challenges that I have faced so far. And 3, some advice for the students if they ever, God forbid, have to deal with one of these pandemics in the future. So I'll start off with my experience. I'm gonna be honest with you, the first time that we covered the coronavirus, I remember that moment that I was sitting on the anchor desk and the word coronavirus came up, and at this time it was just a case in China. And I remember asking my producer, coronavirus? Like, you say it like that, coronavirus, in my ear. She's like, yeah, that's how you say it. I'm like, Corona like the beer? And she's like, yeah. So I went for it and I stated the facts. I read the script on the teleprompter, and that was the first of many times that the word coronavirus was going to be said. And I remember at that moment, probably thinking what all of you think about, coronavirus, like whatever, right? Well, I hope you know by now that it has no association with the beer. It's actually called the coronavirus because under a microscope, this virus, it looks like there's a corona, a crown or a halo on parts of the virus. So that's where the name comes from, by the way. But anyway, so moving forward, so at this time it was just in China, and I remember thinking, okay, it's like any other story that I cover outside of the United States. Well, fast forward a little bit, and then we have our first case in Seattle. And at this time, I remember thinking, okay, well, it's in the United States, but it's in Seattle, it's so far. Okay, we're okay. I wasn't really like paying too much attention to it. Well, then I went to California, and then we had our first death in the United States, in Seattle. And that's when I personally, again, I'm talking about my experience, okay? That's when I was like, oh, okay, this is something we gotta talk about. This is alarming. Well, next thing we know, it continues to spread and it hits Florida. And in Florida, I remember the first presumptive case, because that's what you call a case that's been, confirmed positive in a lab, but not by the CDC, right? So I remember the first presumptive cases in Tampa. And then, as the story was going, I remember my fear, my personal fear, not on camera, but me as a person, it started growing a little bit, and I was like, oh gosh. And then you can feel things getting more intense and things getting more busy. And then it hit Broward, and then we had our cases in Broward. And things started changing rapidly. It was a Saturday, and that's when we found out about the first community spread case in Broward. And that's really when things started changing for me personally, because I saw something that started off in China, get here to home. For any of you guys joining us from outside of South Florida, Miami is home for me. So this is where my family's at. This is where I grew up. This is where all my friends, my teachers, everyone, they're here. So when I saw that this virus was coming to our home, it just changed things for me. It really did. But things changed even more when my sister, who's a nurse, when it started affecting her, and she was being asked at work, would you want to be part of this task force or this at that point they were just asking nurses to volunteer to be part of the team that would help COVID patients. And nothing, I just kind of saw the fear growing with throughout everyone that I know, and I started, I started getting a little worried. Fast forward to when her floor turned into a COVID floor, and then I really, I'm a big sister, right? So I've always tried to protect my little sister, and here's something that I can't protect her from. And that weighed heavily on my heart. That really affected me. And nothing. I had to continue to be put together. I had to continue to look at the facts. I had to continue to wake up every morning really early in the morning and give the news as it is. And I was able to do that. But it wasn't easy, because for the first time, I feel like my emotions and my profession were like right here, right? Like, how do you keep it together yet you have a bit of fear for your community? Not so much for me. I was thinking of my loved ones. I was thinking of Mima. You know, the first time that I realized I couldn't go see Mima, that hurt. You know, the first time that I heard my sister express some worry about going to treat these patients, you know, that affects you, right? So this leads me to my second point, which is the challenges that I have faced during this time. And the first one is finding a balance between being emotional and rational. I have always been a reporter that has carried her heart on her sleeve. Like, I feel like the way that I report, my style is just an emotional, human style. I don't look at stories for just the stories. I look at the people that I'm talking to, the people that it involves. It's been the way I've been from the beginning of my career as a student journalist, like many of you who are watching right now, and today. So although that has helped me, I feel like, although that has helped, I guess, has just, whatever, it's been my style, it has also been a bit of a burden, or it's made things a little more difficult in a time like today. So like I said, the first challenge during this time, it's for sure finding the balance between being emotional and rational. Another personal story. I was filling in on a Saturday, and had to cover breaking news of the first nurse from JMH who passed away because of the virus. And you guys, that was very difficult for me, because obviously I thought of my sister. And I reported the news, and you gotta, as a journalist, and the student journalists who are listening, you have to keep it together, and you have to just be strong, report the news, the facts. But then once that was done, I went to my office and like I cried for the first time in all of this, because again, it's emotional, and you can't forget that you're a person at the end of the day. You know, you have to listen to your heart, and you have to listen to your emotions and deliver that through your reporting, but then at the same time find a balance. So my advice to my first challenge is, I wrote these notes down because, so my first advice is, the more knowledge you know, the more at ease you'll be. So again, first challenge is finding the balance between being emotional and rational. And the advice to that is, the more knowledge I got, the more at ease I was. What does that mean? The more I educated myself, the more facts that I got, the easier it was for me to, like, okay, relax, we're fine, okay, we're okay. We're in this together, and day by day, and let's move forward. And this is how it's contracted. This is how it's not. This is what's going to close. This is what's not. Like, the facts really make you feel better. At least it was for me. And that leads me to the second point. The second challenge that I have faced is dealing with the constant changing information and the all the information that you're getting during this time. I'm talking about a lot of information that changes almost by the hour. So how do you, as a student journalist, deal with something like this? Well, number one, and this was advice given to me by Craig Stevens from Channel 7. When I first started as an anchor, I sat with him and I asked him for some tips, because I had no idea, what I was in for really. And he sat me down and he's like, listen, get a folder, okay? Get a folder and have all the important information in this folder, so that whenever you need it, you know where it's at. Well, guys, this is my coronavirus COVID-19 folder dated March 2020, and it's green because viruses are green in my head. So this folder right here has actually helped me out a lot because I got it all here. I have it all right here. You won't believe me. The first thing I have was dated back on March 12th. March 12th, and it was the CDC to award Florida $27 million in support of COVID-19 response. I have in here, look at this, guys. What is it? Do you see it? What is it? This is like when everything was starting and I needed some notes on what is the virus. I have it here. Look, how deadly is it? What is it? Don't mind the hearts. I doodle. Anyways, so when you're covering one of these big events, I advise you guys, as Craig Stevens advised me, have a folder where you can organize everything neatly, because if there's ever a time where you need to like go back to, okay, when did Miami Mayor's Francis Suarez start quarantine? Okay, I can literally go in here if I wanted to and find out. It'll take up some time, but you know, then like all the malls that started closing, you see how I write on the top, malls, stores closed, you know, it's helpful. And then all those news conferences, I have those notes too. And why is it important to keep this, again, so that you can refer back to it? With all the information that's coming in and how it's changing all the time, there's a lot of live news conferences. So what does that mean? This is how it goes. At 10 o'clock, we're off the air on Today in Florida, but then I call my executive producer in the morning, Steve. I'm like, hey, is there anything scheduled between 10 and our noon show or anything during the noon show? And he's like, yes, Governor Ron DeSantis is speaking at 10:30, and then the task force is starting at 1 o'clock. And I'm like, okay, what does this mean? What does this mean? Well, number one, I need to be able to have information to talk about while we wait for the live conference, let's say. Or let's say when this first started, it was so busy. It was like news conference and then news conference and news conference. But in between those times where the producers upstairs in the control room, the student journalists who are listening, you know what I'm talking about. When the control room, they're trying to figure out the logistics and the video and stuff. My co-anchors and I have to be able to talk. So this is something that I started to do that helps a lot. And again, I have so many here. But look, on this side of my folder, on March 12th, I would write down all the cases in Miami-Dade, Broward, and all the like important things that I needed to know. Like, for instance, don't mind my nails, self-isolation, everybody. But here we have, let's see, this is the day that the NBA was suspended. What's this? Oh, you see, this is a reminder telling me that 11:30 Ron DeSantis was gonna speak, the governor. Anyways, oh look, this is the day that all these events started getting canceled, the Youth Fair, Ultra Miami Open, all this stuff, right? So having these like a cheat, like it's like school, students, it is like school. It's like, I'm not telling you to cheat, that's not what I'm saying, but a study guide. This is like my study guide, where you have like your cheat notes, right? And every day after that, I've had to like kind of keep track of the cases. And it's interesting because you compare March 12th when this started, when we only had 1 case in Miami-Dade and 7 in Broward, to April 17th with more than 8,300 cases in Miami-Dade and more than 3,400 cases in Broward. So anyways, it not only puts things into perspective, but it also, it helps you organize. So anyways, as I was saying, to help you with the overflow of information and all the constant changing information, keeping a folder is very helpful. And to the student journalists, this applies to anything. I have another folder for my elections, for the elections coming up in November, by the way. You know, just in case like I have to go back to any of the primaries or things like that. So that'll help you when you're covering your events. Also, staying informed, you know, making sure you're on top of Governor Ron DeSantis's daily briefings and the task force. They have their daily briefings as well. Usually they're around the same time, more or less, but being up to date with all the information will really help you out. Okay, then the third challenge that I have faced during this time is staying grounded during this time. And I know I'm not alone there. A lot of you are at home right now and have been at home right now. And chances are whatever you guys are feeling, I too have felt along this way. This has been a roller coaster for me personally, and I'm sure I I'm speaking for a lot of you guys. But you know, you wake up, you have good days, and then there's bad days, and it's a roller coaster because you really have no idea what's in store. Well, my best advice for that, and I'm learning it as we go as well, is finding a way to refuel yourself, so that you can keep going for the next. Me personally, I've been taking walks with my boyfriend Gabe, and those have been helping me so much for the two of us. I leave my phone behind, and for an hour, I'm walking outside, and it's really, really nice. And honestly, prayer has helped me a lot too, because there's a lot of strength that you need during this time, no matter what situation you're in. And for me, prayer does that. So exercising and prayer have been my two ways of refueling myself for the next day. But again, so just to recap what I've talked about, and again, if you're joining me, thank you. I was asked to speak to the journalist students here in Florida, and thank you again for that invitation. I spoke about my experience, so now you have a little bit of an idea of what goes on behind the scenes during this pandemic. For me personally, everyone's different. I spoke about the 3 challenges that I have faced during this time, which again are: 1, finding the balance between being emotional while rational; 2, how to deal with all the constant changing information; and then 3, staying grounded during this time. I hope that helps. I hope that helps. There's a lot of you on here. I appreciate that, and I'll read some of your comments later. But I have a friend who's writing some questions down. If there are any students out there who have questions, feel free to write them. Just say your name, the name of your publication, your question, where your school is at, and I'd love to answer some of them. But like I said, guys, it's been quite the journey. And you know, another topic, as I'm waiting for these questions, I don't know if Omar, are you there? Let me know if we have any. As we're waiting, you know, another thing that that has been interesting, and I guess interesting is the word. There have been so many rumors on social media, and I have seen the impact that social media has right now on our community, and it's frightening. But I hope that I can inspire some of the students on here right now to use social media as a tool to spread the facts. You know, I really have seen how misinformation and rumors have caused panic in our community, and I honestly, that breaks my heart, because during this time we can't panic. There's no room, there's no energy to panic, you know. So I remember when in the beginning, when there were so many different concerns about stores closing and the words lockdown and shutdowns, and you know, students, listen to me. The words that we choose as journalists make a difference. The words that you as a journalist, they make a difference. You have the power and the responsibility to spread calm or to spread fear and panic in your community. So I hope that you guys really pay attention to that and don't take that responsibility lightly. It's a big one. It's a big one. So for all the students that are listening, and if you do want to pursue this career, I hope you do it with the best intent and with a heart, because it's a responsibility. So when all those rumors were coming out, I was so frustrated. I was so frustrated because they weren't backed up by facts, but then so many people actually, you know, would believe them. And I remember making it an effort to, on my Instagram page, posting, you know, this is from the National Guard. They are here for the testing. And I would always try to back it up with the facts, because, gosh, social media really, like, did a toll on people. And to the students, I hope that you will be the difference in our future when it comes to journalism. Let me see. Okay, so I have a question right here from Nancy Moreno. I know you. Hi, from Ferguson in Miami. FBN. So FBN FBN is doing a show from home now. Cool. Falcon Vision. It's pre-recorded and news keeps changing. What's your advice on producing weekly shows during this time? That is quite the challenge. That is quite the challenge. Because as you know, many of you look at my Instagram stories, and gosh, I post something in the morning and then by like 12, it's different. Is there any way you can update those stories, or is there any way you can... That's a tough question, Nancy. I don't know if I got an answer for you. Maybe keep it as broad as possible, or how about you do something like, since we last spoke, you know, this is the information as of right now. This is the information as of Tuesday morning. And keep it like that, because I know it's hard. I know it's hard. So maybe my best advice for you, Nancy, and for the entire Ferguson team here in Miami, for your at-home shows, I would keep the information as of right now, and move forward. Does that make sense? The next question is from Jordan Perez from Christopher Columbus High School. Hi, in Miami. What are you doing to try and stop these rumors? Great question. Great question. Wow, I'm tired. Great question. Well, as I mentioned before, I would try to do whatever I could, which was on Instagram. I would back up all those rumors with facts. And I use my Instagram stories to really hopefully spread the word. Listen, when you got the facts, you got the facts. And if anyone who questions them, the facts, then, I mean, I got the facts, you know, and facts, just facts. And also just question where you're getting your information from, you know, like, oh, my cousins, neighbors, dog walker send me this, who works at this hospital. What? No. Give me this and tell me where it's from. If it's not an official and it's not a valid source, question it and don't report it. You have the power to share it. Don't share it. Let's see. Okay. Christina from Christopher Columbus High School. Hi again. Hi, Alex. What advice would you give publication staffs about staying active and continuing content while social distancing? Thanks for being here. Thank you for having me. Great question. I think social media, like I was talking about, it's a great tool during this time. I think you guys, okay, let's talk about social media for a second. It's important to be consistent with social media. People appreciate that, and it helps you organize yourself. What do I mean by that? If I'm going to be sharing all the food distribution sites of that day, I want to make sure that I'm posting that every single day. If I want to be talking about the testing sites and all the new information from there and linking the people to the website, I'm going to try to post that every single day too. So being consistent, I try to keep to 3 top stories and then, those 2 consistent stories every single day. Does that help? Does that answer the question? But I think you have so much work to work with, so much information to work with during this time. And this is great practice for students. As students who are listening, I really hope you take advantage of this time to practice, no matter who's listening, no matter what, even if it doesn't matter. Your school's relying on you. Don't take that lightly. It's a responsibility. Let me read some questions here. Okay, hold on. Okay, so Arvin, Mays Media, APM, COTA, I have a question. How has the virus affected you financially? Well, I've been blessed to still have a job, and I'm very fortunate to that, but I really, take to heart, and I'm often thinking of all the people that I know who don't have a job right now, and I know it's difficult, but I also know that health right now is very important, and stopping the curve and stopping the spread is flattening the curve, and stopping the spread is very important right now. So I know it's a very controversial time and a very difficult time right now. I try to deal with it one day at a time, because if not, it's too overwhelming, right? Let me see. Okay, look, let's do Victoria Perez. Hi, Victoria. I go to Miami Art Studio and I am part of Mass News. Hi. What a different type of stories that would lighten up the mood during these uncertain times. Great question. And someone else asked this too, I think Nancy. Can you give us some ideas where to find positive stories? Great question, guys. Fortunately, our community has been responding very well with our healthcare workers and supporting our healthcare workers. So it's actually not too hard to find positive stories during this time because you got so many people doing nice things for our healthcare workers. Maybe finding a healthcare worker that you guys know in your school, like a parent of one of your students, and talk to them how this experience has been for them. Also, you can check in with local hospitals and find out if there are any scheduled caravans going on, or if there are any scheduled, a lot of first responders like firefighters and police officers have been outside rooting for the healthcare workers that are going in and out of the hospital. That's a really good feel-good story right now that is easy for you students to find. Also, there's so many different birthday caravans going around. I'm sure you guys have had one or seen one. That's another lighthearted story you can do during this time. Okay, we have Patricia Velez from Coyote Chronicle at Four Corners Upper School. Hi. Patrick, not Patrice. What did I say? Patrick. Okay, Patrick, my question is, do you have any advice on maintaining stability as we start to adjust to what could be our new normal? I wish I did, but I have no advice on that because I haven't experienced it yet. We are all in this together. New normal, like what is our new normal, right? Like these are questions I too have. I'm not privy to any information that you're not at all. I wake up in the morning and I see what's in front of me and I see what news is coming, like is happening today. What do you need to know as you're waking up? And I try to take that step by step. So I don't know. I don't have really any advice to how to maintain stability as we start going into a new normal. I wish I did. But again, I'm in this with you as we keep going. Ooh, you have Marcelo Cuedra from University of Florida, WFT. Woohoo! What's your advice for students who were relying on an internship this summer to gain experience before graduating and going into the workforce? Oh, man. Great question. Oh. Great question. You guys, maybe by the summer, things will change. I don't know. Okay, we haven't, it takes me some time to think of an answer. Reach out to any local journalists that you look up to and ask for a mentorship over the phone, over Skype, not Skype, Zoom, whatever it is, FaceTime. Do that. Give that a shot. That's my best advice to all the students on here who were planning and hoping for a summer internship and will now probably have to figure something else out. Reach out to any journalist that you look up to and ask if they would consider doing like a virtual mentorship. Why not? Doesn't hurt. I will, and I do it all the time with students. So that's the best advice for you. Let me see. Okay, so hi, my name is Yasmin and I go to Four Corners Charter School and I am part of the Coyote Chronicle. Hi, how can I talk about how serious the virus is but not cause panic? That is a great question, Yasmin. How do you talk about how serious the virus is but not cause panic? The facts. You guys, the facts are your best friends. You can't go wrong when you have the facts. You know, here's something alarming that I think is a good example for your question, Yasmin. Today I posted on my Instagram story that parts of California, they're doing what's called the antibody tests. So they test people, random people, to see if they have the antibody for the virus. That means that at one point they had the virus. These people never had symptoms, never knew they had the virus. But guess what? Once they started doing these antibody tests, then they realized that 50 to 85% or 50 to 85 more, let's do it again, 50 to 85 times more of the people confirmed with the virus had the virus. Does that make sense? That kind of like, okay, what? And that's a fact, and it also shows you that you can have the virus without even knowing it, and you can spread it to somebody who unfortunately could pass away because their experience with the virus could be deadly, you know? So facts, 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 facts. They're your best friend. Okay, let's see here. Eduardo Franco, FBN News from John A. Ferguson Senior High. Hi, you're a junior, I believe, and you're asking, how do you handle breaking news alert when you're on air and you have to quickly switch topics? That's a great question. It helps when you have a beta, and this goes for all the production students listening. When you have a beta to break it up, it helps because you got like, and then here's a news alert, you know what I mean? So that helps you break up the tone. If you do not have betas in your school, by looking down really quickly and then readdressing the camera, that helps. So hopefully that helps you out. Let me see. Dr. March from AP Mays Media, how do you confirm your facts? Great question. So as I'm a Channel 7 in Miami, and we use CNN articles and we use Fox News articles, and everyone is allowed to use AP wires, the Associated Press. So those are really like our three sources: Fox, CNN, and the AP. I try to get from all three, and I use what is confirmed by all three, and that's how I personally confirm my facts. But when you have TV stations, you know, if you're an NBC affiliate, then you are allowed to use NBC News, ABC affiliates, ABC News. You know, that's how that works. Okay, Rachel Clark from WSRH News at Seminole Ridge. Many of our students' stories seem too similar in content. What is one way we can produce stories without seeming too repetitive? Great question. This is something I learned in Fort Myers when I was a general assignment reporter at a station there at WBBH. This is how you're able to be creative as a journalist, when you're able to find those stories that no one else is talking about. And they could be lighthearted stories. I'm not telling you to, find those stories that no one is talking about. How? Talk to people. I know you can't see them now, but call them. Call those healthcare workers that you know in your family. Hey, what's going on? How are you doing? What's the situation there? Anything I need to know? Anything I can help you with? Find that. Also, the caravan stories. Like, to all the students out there that know of different caravans, try to find out. Oh, Coco's bored. Okay, Coco. I'll see you later, baby. Try to find out. She's stretching. Try to find out who those people are at the caravan and why is it important. This is a great example. So today we did a story about a nurse who is going now to work for the first time. She was off of work, and her community did a caravan for her to show her support as she was going to work. And that story within the big caravan story made the story newsworthy. Does that make sense? I hope that helps. Let me see. Let me go back to up here. I'm answering questions. For any of you guys just joining me, once again, I am speaking to a group of students, part of the Florida Scholastic Press Association, and I spoke about my experience covering this pandemic, some challenges, and some advice. Anyone who's not a student, thank you for being here with us. I hope this is worth your while as well. I'm answering questions right now. Okay, let's see this last one that just came in from Christopher Gomez from CCNN Live. My question is, do you think the news will be more remote because of this crisis? That's a great question. I don't know. I think that a lot of people are seeing that it's working, but I don't know. I don't think so. I think everything will go back to normal eventually. But maybe a lot of jobs are seeing that a lot of things can be done remotely, and maybe that'll change things. Who knows, right? What about like stadiums? Will they ever go back to full capacity? I don't know. But there are things that we don't know. So, something as a journalist that was challenging for me too, that I should have added, is I would get overwhelmed by not knowing everything. But then I had to tell myself, it's okay to not know everything. It's okay to not know the answer to these questions because no one knows. We're all figuring this out at the same time. Okay, let me see. I'll answer maybe 2 more questions. Let me see if I go up to, let me see. Bear with me here. Let me see. That's a good question for the students. This is Andrew from Christopher Columbus High School as well. How do you find stories and produce packages while maintaining social distancing and keeping healthy? That's great. So for the students who are listening, once again, if you're trying to go out there and find stories, I know that our reporters in the field, they're using like these long stick mics, you know, like to keep this distance as they're reporting, as they're interviewing people, and they have masks out there in the field and they're being as safe as possible. I think, again, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, when you could just call those that you know and ask them for different ideas for you. I think that may be the safest bet for you at this moment. Let me see. The question is, should be doing what they're doing. Right, okay, this is Tommy from CCNN Live. My question is, what should we be doing to get better during the quarantine? Better in journalism. Read a lot, educate yourself, be informed on what's going on. Tune in to Governor Ron DeSantis' news conference and tune in to the Coronavirus Task Force news conference. They happen daily. I watch them almost every single day. And it'll be interesting for you as a journalist to be able to collect all that information and see as it progresses. So that's something the students could be doing right now. Let me see here. Rachel Velasco from FBNN News. I was wondering if you could recommend doing different kinds of topics to make a sense of normalcy, since it feels like everything is revolving around the coronavirus. I'm not sure if you're asking me. I'm not sure what this question is. I was going to recommend doing different kinds of... As far as, look, like, we cover other things that happen in the community, but everything is coronavirus right now. So the majority of our news is the virus and things affected by the virus, you know? I think that's it. There's some I missed, but I think that's the majority of them, right? I think so. Okay, guys. I hope you had fun. Thanks for joining me. Again, to all the students and to everyone part of FSPA, the Florida Scholastic Press Association, thank you so much for inviting me. I hope this helps your students out. I know that this is an unprecedented time and everyone's kind of like, what do we do? So hopefully my advice was helpful. And students, listen to me. Keep going. Don't give up. Be active in your school TV programs. You have the ability to make a big difference in your community. Don't take that lightly. You really can help so many people by being informed and informing them. I know a lot of the students trust your organizations and they count on you to be there. So be there for them. Don't let them down during this time. Don't do it. They need you. So to all the student journalists, keep looking forward. Do not be discouraged during this time. If you can't get that internship, don't worry. Be creative. Be creative. This is your time to either go up or go down. And I really hope that you all keep climbing. Keep climbing. And to all the seniors, listen to me. I'm so sorry you can't experience all the things that come with senior year. My heart breaks for you. I don't have anything to tell you. I really don't, other than I'm thinking of you. And now, you know, college is around the corner and you got to make it the best years possible. And I can't wait to see you guys out there on the fields. And a lot of you guys I know will. So keep it up, everybody. And I hope you have a great Tuesday. I'll see you for my Instagram stories tomorrow morning, okay? I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.